What's up, beautiful people? Welcome to another episode of Get Close. I am Gio.
And
A
Bart.
fly? Oh. I fucking hate when flies do that. You
No,
know
I'm
that?
not a fly. I'm Gen Z.
Oh. Are you?
Yeah.
That is so last year, dude.
No, that's like the Gen Z, like in sign language when you go to sign language school, when you teach you how to do like for the news, where it's like, and then like 2 people got shot at the store. It's like, and then they were Gen Z.
What is fucking happening in your brain right now?
That's what, what is that? What is that?
That's that TikTok. Like, what is going on in their head?
Oh no, that's what literally what they teach you at sign language school.
Fine. Okay.
Fine.
So
I don't give a fuck. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I really don't. I don't know where you're going with it. So, as you know, as we all know, as we've all seen, your papa has been living with us now for about 3-4 months. Really? Fuck. It feels like a long. It feels
long for you or long for me?
It feels like a long time for me, at least. And the reason why he's living with us is because he decided he wanted to live out here to be close to you and to Taika. Doesn't give a fuck about me.
He
but
does
it's okay.
care about you. He does care about you, for
But
the
it's
record.
okay.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I really don't mind. And the only I had come up with the idea of like, well, wait, why are you guys gonna wait until buying a house? Because every day that you wait, the prices are going up. So don't wait. Just get the house now. Let's get built. It's going to build equity as it's even getting built because everyone is just coming into town.
Yeah, just to backtrack a little bit because I feel like you jumped right into the middle of it. So my
did?
dad was at a crossroads where he wants to move here to be closer to me and Taika, but he was like, oh shit, but I gotta sell my house because it's at peak market in order to buy a house. And that's where you came in, where you're like, well, why don't you just sell your house? Because I think the typical thing what that people do is they'll buy the house, right? When it's completed, now I'll sell the current house.
Got it.
So I can move in.
Yeah, I did fuck up.
But you came up with the really dope idea of like, well, if you wait, the market shifts all the time, so you might not get peak dollar for your house, and you just wanted to make sure he was maximized on both ends.
Yeah.
So you're like, what about this? Why don't we sell your house early so that you can capitalize into peak market? Because even now, from then until now, we've seen interest rates hike up like crazy.
Yeah.
We've seen sellers adjust their price.
Yeah.
So that was a really good call on your end. My dad got top dollar for his house, which is amazing. And you're like, and so instead of like being homeless, you could just come stay with us. And then that way you get your current house at the lowest price and you sell your house at the highest price.
Yep.
Which is a great daughter-in-law move on your end.
Thank you so much, even though he doesn't care about me.
He does.
So then he moved in with us. Everything's been fine. He's very helpful. He is hard at hearing. He doesn't speak English, but he tries his very best to, respect like whatever it is that we got going. Even though he didn't really...
Hard at hearing is kind of like understatement. I think he's deaf.
He's pretty deaf. I mean, he could still hear us, but it's hard.
I mean, if someone goes, bye-bye.
He doesn't even hear that though.
Oh, like that's pretty deaf as fuck.
Yeah, he's pretty deaf as fuck, but
Yeah.
he's not deaf. Like
Okay.
we don't need sign language. Like I could still yell and he gets what I'm saying.
Yeah,
know what I
you
mean?
could yell at him and he's like,
No, it's not that crazy, but it's pretty bad.
yeah.
Yeah, but he does. He really it feels like, at least, or maybe he's just doing the Asian dad thing. But it feels like he wants to just give us space at times, which is, I'm like, you don't have to, right? Like, we're all a family. Like, we should all be together anyway. Like, my mom is with us now, and like, not with us, but she's just visiting for a little bit. And we're always together. We have all our meals together. We, like, anytime we're done with work, we all congregate at the same spot. But your dad just is like, I think he just wants to, I'm assuming here, that he wants to just give us our space.
Yeah, he does.
So we did a podcast where I talked about like what that's like, because you and him had such a turbulent relationship growing up that when your parents split up, you ended up living with your mom. You were getting in so much trouble that he was like, hey, you know what? let me try to take over. Let me see what's going on. Let me see if I can reach out to our son and get him on the right path. You live with him for maybe like a year or two?
No, I finished maybe like 16, 17, 18 with him.
Okay,
19,
so 3 years?
up to 19 probably.
3 or 4 years with him?
Before I had to move out.
And then the relationship between you guys got so fucking bad that like it was just fighting, throwing shit, like just really, really bad situation. So then you're like, I can't live with this guy. We have to part ways. You end up living on your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I moved out when I was 19.
Yeah. And then since then, relationship has never really like repaired itself, but it did get better because you guys were apart. So you would like grab dinner with him or whatever, but it was never like we've patched things up. We're homies. We're like father son. Let's do the father son thing, right? It's always been like this weird, he's more of an uncle than a dad type of space.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that you've been living with him, it's been a few months already. I've seen a lot of growth from you. And
From
I've
me?
seen, yeah, and I've seen, and I don't know if this growth is good or it's bad, but I think it was necessary. So, you've talked about how like you've been really suppressed growing up because I mean that's just the Asian structure layered on top of your own parents' very opposite structures that are also very extreme that they put on you. And now you've been actually, I don't want to say standing up to them because that sounds like you're rebelling and like you're puffing out your chest, but you have been setting healthy boundaries with them and kind of like letting them know like where you stand as a man with your family and how the dynamic should work. And like, I think that's huge because I've never seen you, like in our entire relationship, I've only seen you maybe do that one time or two times. And like, I just kind of wanted to like see what's going on now.
I definitely sense a pivotal moment in myself because I think, and I think a lot of, not just Asian Americans, but probably a lot of immigrant families can relate to this, where there's such an importance placed on respecting your elders and doing what the team wants or needs, or even the family name or the legacy, that a lot of your own personal wants and desires gets kind of like pushed to the side, right?
Yeah, because then you're selfish and a piece of shit.
Yeah, across the board. So I've seen people go, I got accepted to this college, and the parents, can I go? And the parents are like, way across town? Think about grandma, right? So kind of like some sort of like even success gets pulled back. Or, hey, my boyfriend is going to take me out. Well, you better take your like little sister too. Or so just across the board, like not just like in the funsy stuff, but in the serious stuff, there's that like, you better sacrifice a little bit of self for
the greater
good, right? So if you're like, you better put that saxophone down, you should go be a contractor or something like that, right? That's like pretty normal. So I think I've had that. My first big moment was JK, where I was like, you know what? I need to live my life and pursue an occupation for myself. That was my first real break from the nest, right? So I did JK, and then I was able to get it on its feet, and that leveraged into Barbell Brigade and all the other stuff that we've been able to do. So in terms of my profession, I think I had that big pivotal moment. I'm living for myself. Then when it comes to like being a son and also like someone that's going to continue the progeny, I don't think I've completely broke free of that, because I'm still like, hey, like the grandson has got to be someone that's really CUNY for my mom, CUNY for my dad, and I got to like tie this whole family together, and it's up to me to like make sure we tie the family together. And so a lot of the things that they demand that might not be applicable to this generation, I just kind of bend over backwards. I'm like, well, this is how the family is. You're technically head of the household, so I'll do whatever, right? But I think this year, especially since my dad moved in, I started to feel like, you know what? Like how I knew what was best for my profession, I think I also know what's best for my family.
Immediate or?
My immediate family.
Okay.
So, which is like you and Taika, right? Because I'm part of my dad's immediate family. I don't think he's actually part of my immediate family, right? So, because my family is the one that I'm creating. That's how I view family. Like whatever family you created is your immediate family.
Yeah, that's how everyone uses the term.
Yeah, and everyone else is. How come you asked my dad or me?
I was saying your immediate family, or I was gonna say
Oh,
extended.
I see. Yeah. So yeah, I view my dad as extended family, right?
Yeah.
And because he's moved in, and I felt like in the first month or two, I've really tried my best to bend over backwards. And along with you, right? Even having him be able to move in for someone that values privacy and to be able to move at a moment's notice, that's such a huge priority for you. That's why I was like actually like taken back. I was like, oh shit,
Well,
you're
no, I mean you make it sound pretty nuts, but when it comes to family shit, like that's not an issue for me.
oh well.
The
Anyways, to me, I'm looking at it here, not here.
I see.
Yeah, I'm like, wow, that's fucking crazy. That's
Oh, I see.
yeah.
Because for me, it's like it should always be expected because it's family.
Oh, well, I just know how you are. So I was just like, that's fucking crazy that you're down to just have them move
Of
in,
course, of
especially
course.
how abrasive both of my parents are, right? It's like literally having like, because family's family, but if you have an uncle that is known to be drunk and beats kids, are you gonna let him move in? Oh,
No.
family's family.
Yeah,
That's
no,
what I'm saying. Yeah,
absolutely not.
that so
Got it.
that
Okay, got
blanket
it.
statement is not a
It's
good
right.
blanket
You're right.
statement.
You're right.
Yeah,
Okay. Put me in my place. Thank
yeah.
you.
So my parents, they're very abrasive. We know that. So family's not always family.
Yeah.
Because they come in and they can wreak havoc and they can cause even a strain on our relationship, right?
Yeah.
So for our family, I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I can already see how this is taking a strain on our relationship as I'm still trying to fulfill the what does this side of the family want? What does the extended family want? What does my dad want? Right. So I'm kind of bending our family to fit what his ideals are. And so I think this is the pivotal moment in my life this year, 2022, where I was like, you know what? Just like how I knew what was best for my profession, and I really gotta take the reins on that. I need to do what's best for my family, the one that I'm creating with Gio and Taika, and possibly the next one, right? Like, I need to like set healthy boundaries. So now instead of, hey, like, and this is a more like metaphorical sense, instead of you, me, and Taika get on our knees and bow to my dad, it's more like, this is what we're gonna do. Hey, dad, I respect you so much. Do you want to come along for the ride? If not, then we're gonna have to live separate lives, and we'll try to visit as much as we can together. We'll try to see where we can mesh, but we have our own path, and it's up to you how much you want to. It's up to you to how much you want to match your life to mine, and not how do I match my family's life to yours. And
And what brought that about? Because that's such a huge deviation from just culturally and just everything you that's been instilled in you. Because that's massive.
yeah, it's actually fucking huge. And it's not one of those things like the profession where it's like a physical move. It's all of this stuff that I'm talking about is in the air, right? From the outside, you don't know what boundary has been set. It's not like someone is moving from here to this location or whatever, or like, it's just imaginary things. So that's kind of like the more intricate part that's harder to describe. But I think for me, having my dad move in now and having a lot of like deeper talks with my pops, I begin to realize how my dad and my mom's marriage failed,
Wow.
and how my dad's relationship with even some of his brothers haven't been the healthiest. And so kind of seeing how, like, back then a lot of talks were very surface level. Like, people didn't even know how to like get deep. They don't even know the labels for certain things. They don't even know what mental health is. Like, people talk about mental health, that's like, oh, you're just being a fucking pussy or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So they don't even know like love languages. They don't understand what being selfish
Or
or like
traumas or
trauma or like triggers or narcissism or any of that stuff. They don't know what any of that stuff is. They just everything is based off obligation. This is my brother, I protect them. I'm his brother, so it's just by obligation we got each other's
and
back.
hard in the fucking and like hard rules, like black and white rules as much as possible.
Yeah.
It's like you spoke back to me, therefore you disrespect me, which means you think I'm a piece of shit. Fuck you.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is like, whoa, not really.
Yeah, so one of the craziest things that came up is my dad was like, "Hey, you know what? I'm getting older. Your mom's getting older, and I don't want to die alone. I don't think your mom wants to die alone, and I think I'm gonna go see if like me and your mom could like maybe we're not get back together, but maybe we can be friends and have each other's back until our lives end, you know." And then I was like, oh shit, that was some fucking crazy, like, that's something I've never even heard of. And me knowing my mom on her fucking crazy Buddhist shit, and I was like, I don't think my moms have ever thought about you. And if you text her, I think it's gonna come out of the blue like crazy. Because during the pandemic, mom was stuck in Taiwan for 2 years, and she never once mentioned you. She's finally back in America. I think she's just enjoying her freedoms and just chilling and like, getting back into the swing of things. I think the last thing she wants is
The past coming to haunt her.
yeah, exactly. And then as my dad was explaining about how like what his envision, what his fantasy is of like, oh, but we're a family. It'd be cool to see like me, your mom, Taika, and then Gio like all sitting at a dinner table. And I was like, I started to realize my dad has a lot of imaginary ideals that he didn't really put the work in for.
Yeah.
You can't just go to my mom and go, hey, this is my dream, Or even when Taika was born, like your mom came every single day. My dad only came once a week. So if Taika doesn't speak Chinese to you, you didn't plant those seeds. So I would have these conversations, which start small. And I try not to ever be rude, but it'll be like, hey, dad, I would tell him like, the fruits you're trying to pick, I don't think you planted those trees for those fruits. My dad's like, what do you mean?
You said it like that? That's so poetic.
Yeah. Well,
I fucking hate you.
Bars. And
yeah,
so,
very Gen Z of you to do, dude. Bars, huh?
Yeah.
Hurry.
So I would say it like that. And my dad's like, what do you mean? This is how a family is. And I'm like, yeah, a family in your mind. But I'm like, but you didn't plant those seeds. So I'm like, oh shit. What I realized is my dad is just living off of obligation, off of titles. You're my son, therefore you should sit across from me from the dinner table. That's my wife, but even though there's a 30-year gap, that's not your wife. Like the actual relationship needs to be nurtured and watered every single day. So that started to make me see like, oh shit, there's a lot of things that both my mom and my dad kind of operate on based off obligation. Like, you're my son, so you'll do this one, So it's kind of like that. And I was like, oh, fuck. So I don't even know if he's equipped with the tools to know how to nurture the things that he wants. And so I'll start to see a little bit of that. And then so he asked me for mom's address and contact information, which he doesn't even have.
For good reason.
Which means for 30 years, this is going to be really out of the blue. But I gave it to him anyways. And I was like, you know what? Like I'm like, I already know where this is going. I'm like, I don't want anything to deal with your guys' communication.
Is this something that you would have said in the past? Like remove yourself from it? Or is it like,
no, I would have got caught up in the mix.
Because you have to.
Because I would have felt so obligated as a son.
Because you have to, right? Because that's your obligation.
Yeah. So as a son, you got to be like mom and dad, regardless if they're divorced or not. You're just playing the son role. But this time around, I'm putting on, I'm an adult hat. You're an adult hat.
Yeah.
And my adult hat, this is my bandwidth for my family. I don't have bandwidth for this amount of drama that I can see that's going to happen. So I'll tell my dad, I'm like, I can tell you right now, here's mom's information. If you contact her as you're an adult speaking to another adult. And if she has something to say, it's from that adult to this adult.
Yeah.
And you guys communicate back and forth in no way, shape, or form.
Do you want to get pulled in?
Do I want to get pulled in? Because there's two adults here. You don't need a third adult to go in the middle. Are you okay with that? And he goes, yeah, I don't see how it could go wrong or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to tell you right now, with everything that I see, I'm going to get pulled in and everything's going to go wrong.
That?
Yeah. And I'm like, but I'm just letting you know that's what I see based off of, I'm like, and I also told my dad, I'm like, running JK and Barbell, I've experienced a lot of human dynamics like over the years. We've hired people that are older than us, younger than us, married, not married, different cultural backgrounds, sexual orientation, really hardworking people, lazy people, really people that are down to give it their all, entitled people. So like my like dynamic experience of vocabulary, and like if I were to apply that to basketball, my court IQ for people is pretty high. So I'm like, when I see how you are as a person, how mom is as a person, I can kind of already see where the dynamics go. And he goes, wow, that's really smart. He still went dead anyways. So contacts my mom. And apparently, my dad ran into my mom at a temple, which is with my dad was with her brother, and I guess they hit it off, which I was like, oh, that's cool. I mean, if you guys ran into each other, that's fine. I'm staying out of this. So my dad pitched my mom his idea. You're getting old. I'm getting old. What if, like, you know, maybe we don't rekindle anything, but we can get each other's back because you're alone in America. I'm alone in America. And I guess my mom was open to the idea of that.
This whole time your dad's like, huh, but I told you.
Maybe. And so my mom was like, well, you know, I do have an empty room at my house, so you can stay here however long as you want. And so this all happened when we were spending time in LA. So my dad hasn't been able to update me, you know, like on a daily. And so my dad ended up taking my mom on that offer, goes to her house. They start talking. And I think as my dad starts talking, what my mom thought was like all the divorce and 30 years of like beef that she had, she thought she could push it away. But if things aren't resolved, they pops resurface up. So like little things like, oh, I remember that. Oh my God, I remember that. I remember that. So all these things that she buried away are now triggers. So I think to protect herself, my mom ends up telling me. She calls me and I was like, fuck, I fucking knew I was going to get pulled into this somehow. She told me I wrote a contract out.
You can't not get pulled into it when you're offering the address and the number, dude. I would have been like, I don't know anything. Don't tell me anything. Don't update me. I learned that from my mom, and that's so genius. Yeah. Where it's like, don't tell me a thing.
Yeah.
Later.
Yeah. So I'm trying. So my mom told me.
Yeah.
And she told me I'm writing out a contract. This is how I want it to be. I'm going to get it notarized.
Oh, you're writing out the contract?
No, I'm speaking as my mom.
I'm
writing out a contract. This is for between me and your dad. We're going to get it notarized. This is how his code of conduct has to be. Because, you know, my mom is the princess, is the fucking queen. So she's like, this is how I work out for an hour every morning. We're going to walk to the park. You better do that with me. Like all these things, right? And then as she was telling me, I was like, I don't know if dad told you, mom. I was like, I don't want to be involved in this. So all the stuff you're telling me now, let that be the last update you tell me. And I'm taking this as an update, not as I need a transmission of information, because everything that you want to say, you say it to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely out of this. I'm going to let two people deal with this as adults. I'm just setting like healthy boundaries. You know, I was like, anything that's mom related with you and me, open door always. But with dad, I'm going to treat it as if that's a new boyfriend or a new friend that you make. That's you don't bring me in on all the gossip on. He's like, okay, I get it. That's fine.
Oh, that's really cool.
But I don't think as Asian parents, they totally get what a modern day healthy boundary is, you know? So she sends that to him. Then they start having their miscommunication of like, my dad's like, why do I need this?
Within days.
Yeah. Like, what do I need to write these rules? And then I know I was going to get pulled into it. So my dad would come vent to me. And I'm like, Dad, I fucking told you. I was like, I already knew that it was going to get to this. Like, because I told my dad, like, even before this whole thing, I was like, you know, knowing you with all of my experience with dealing with like the public and employees and all this stuff, looking at you and mom, I actually don't think you guys should have ever gotten married. I was like, just looking at who you are as core people, I don't see how it could have ever worked out. And, but I was like, but I don't hold it against you guys. I was like, when you guys both got married, you guys were both in like your mid 30s. And at that time, it's like you're considered about to expire tomato. So you got to like get it.
Expired tomato.
You know what I mean? Like in that day and age, it's like if you're 27, you're not married.
Yeah, that is pretty nuts.
You're expired goods.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like,
Your mom had you when she was 30?
Yeah, 30 something.
Wow.
So I was
that is really late.
Yeah. So I was like, okay, you guys, I understand the pressure, the societal pressures of the time. So I don't hold any of it against you. I don't even hold it against you that you guys got divorced. I think that was a healthy thing. It would have been even more turbulent and all that, you know. But I just want to tell you from my experience how it is. It is what it is. I'm going to continue to live the best life that I have. And I'm going to try really hard not to repeat that mistake. So with all that having been said a few weeks before, I told my dad, I was like, what did I say? I was like, what did I say, man? I told you I'm going to get dragged into this, one. Two, because you and mom never see eye to eye. You say, I want to live with you. She's going to come out of left field with, I'm going to hit you with the contract. And when she hits you with the left field contract, you're going to be like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's the entire relationship I've ever seen for the first 6 years of my life. It's like no one's seeing eye to eye on things. You know, it's like, I'm making a pie. Well, I'm going to squirt sriracha on it. And the other person's like, what? And it's always been like that. And boom, fights, right? So I was like, this is what I fucking told you. And I was like, but I understand where mom's coming from.
Right. She's protecting herself.
Just protecting herself because there's a lot of unresolved things. And you're like, oh, your mom always wants to like bring up old beef and all that. So I was like, I'm like, there we go again, bringing me into it. And I'm like, if you have anything to say, direct it at her. Mom has anything to say, direct it at you.
Right.
That is the last thing I want to hear. I did my job giving you the address, and I let both mom and dad know that if you guys want to try to make this thing work, you have the support of me. If you guys want to live out your life separately, you have the support of me. Ultimately, I just want you guys to be happy no matter how you guys do it. And I want you guys to be a healthy and happy extension of the family that I'm trying to create.
Yeah.
That's all I care about.
Yeah.
So it's just like in the last like month or two, me setting these little boundaries and like me taking my family by the reins and having these really adult conversations that I never thought I was even capable of. Because probably even a year ago, I just always thought like whatever ideal that my parents have for a family, I was just going to succumb to that. And it's just going to be a constant, I serve you, I serve you, I serve you until you pass away. Even if it's at the detriment of my family. But it hasn't been like that. It's been, hey, this is how it's going to be, you know?
How was that received?
I think my dad, because everything I come at him, it's not with like conflict. It's with my logic and with me being vulnerable with the need that I'm trying to fulfill.
Coming from like a
disrespect.
Yeah.
And I think my dad, he's been taking it pretty good. Like really, really, like he'll actually go, okay, I see. Wow. Oh, wow. Okay, I see. Yeah, I see how this is like bad for your family.
Wow.
So I think that's why he doesn't interact that much, because I'm like, I let my dad know, I'm like, here, this is my, instead of just saying like, you know what, like your involvement, it's like fucking with my family dynamic. I think that's going to cause a fight, right?
Yeah, that's so mean too.
I know, but out of heat, people can say stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think what I told my dad is I was like, you know, my family time is extremely precious. And I'm like, so for example, I'm like, you see me and Gio like train in the morning, right? Right after we train, we go to work. And when we're at work, I'm like, you know what our relationship is? He's like, what? I'm like, we're coworkers. We're straight up coworkers, and we talk to each other very straight. No CUNY, no vulnerable, no nothing. When it's lunchtime, I'm like, do you see when me and Gio come downstairs to have lunch for that 30 minutes? I'm like, do you see me and Gio on our phone? He was like, no. I'm like, because that's very intentional CUNY time for us.
CUNY.
So I was like, so now we're in a relationship. Right when that 30 minutes is over, we're back to coworkers. So and when we finish like work at 4 or 5, I'm like, that whole day, it's all coworkers. I'm like, do you think we have time to nurture our romance or nurture our relationship? He's like, no. I'm like, okay, cool. So that hasn't been, even though we spend all day together, none of the relationship has been nurtured, right? And he goes, yes. Now we take Taika to like jujitsu or we hang out. When we come back home and we have dinner, now it's our family time. I'm like, and so Taika goes to sleep back around 9 o'clock. How much family time do we actually have per day? And then he was like 2 to 3 hours. I'm like, yeah. So out of the whole day, I only have 2 to 3 hours as a family. So like if my number one and two is to nurture my relationship and then to nurture my family, I'm like, how much time do I have to nurture my extended family? Which is why I was like, you can always come along for dinners and stuff like that, but knowing that if you have a presence and if you have a need and then I need to serve that need, that's going to take away from some of this.
Yeah.
Right? And then he's like, so I think like walking him through it, helping him see it, made him be able to go like, oh shit, I know where you're coming from versus his more idealistic mindset. It's like, well, we're just all one big family. Why can't we just all hang out every single day? You know?
We can. Like so that's what I was alluding to, right? When I was like bringing up my mom as the example of like, it is possible. For sure it's possible, and I actually would enjoy it, right? Like, because then we would still have Like we can do a date night because now like there's so many things getting developed and there's so many relationships that are getting nurtured all at the same time. The relationship between me and your dad is getting nurtured. The relationship between you and your dad is getting nurtured. Your dad and Taika. Like you and Taika. Like there's just so many cross nurturings happening that it makes the family a lot stronger. I think the only thing that is the biggest issue is one, maybe your dad's misunderstanding the dynamic that we want, where it's like we do want to all eat together because you do invite him to eat with us, right? And then he'll serve himself, eat, and then he bounces. And I'm like, well, wait, I thought the point was so that we can all be together. Or another one is he's just talking to you the entire time. No one else exists. And I'm like, well, that's also not including the whole, like, that's not a family conversation. It feels like, oh, should me and Taika leave the room because we're like interrupting your guys's like one-on-one, you know? Because I would love that. I would like us to have like that family time, you know, because I would include him as an immediate family member, even though it is technically still going to be on the extended side. But I don't know. I think he just operates differently.
Well, the biggest difference between him and your mom is I think your mom understands that this is our family and we need to take this family through its journey, and she's tagging along with this family's mission. Right? So I think she understands that. So
what does she do that
so all of her involvement doesn't derail from the mission. I think my dad he has his own mission and he wants to take the family and derail it from not like
not
consciously,
bad,
yeah,
right?
But what he wants is going to end up having this family being derailed from that mission to match his mission.
What is his mission?
Just to spend time and be able to look at Taika like all day and look at me all day, or look at you all day.
Oh, and that's it?
Yeah.
Don't lie. He doesn't want to look at me all day. I see.
So I think that's the biggest thing. Like one is like I'm adding on to this carpool, and the other one's like I'm driving the car.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. And that is different because I don't know if that's just an Asian thing. Right? Because I thought you said like at least specifically for Chinese, the grandma is like the head honcho.
No, I mean it's generally always the grandpa.
Oh.
Across all East Asians, it's a
really?
very similar structure. Yeah,
I see.
I mean, you have some like tough moms, like David So's mom. You know, you have like some outliers like that call the shots, who wear the pants or whatever. But generally, it's head honcho. So it's the same. Yeah.
So it's similar. Okay, yeah, because then like at least for my family structure, the dad or grandpa would still like, yeah, he comes into the family and stuff, but you still want to like cater to that. You know, like he's not gonna try to derail anything though.
I don't think my dad's trying to derail.
Yeah, no, same. That's what I'm saying. Like they're not trying to, but they still have their own thing, like their own agenda. Yeah. And you have been saying that like it has been really cool to witness that side of him because you've never had a really deep conversation with him.
Yeah. So having these deep conversations, I think it's more eye-opening for him. Because for me, like I've been thinking in retrospect a lot, right? I've always been thinking like, what was it that didn't make my parents work out? I want to make sure none of that comes to our relationship. What are some the failures that my parents had? Because that is the responsibility of the generation behind, where they are the living example of what to do and what not to do.
Right.
So as many bad things, I take away the good things too. But I think for my dad, he's never seen like all of the growth that I've had through building all these businesses and living through life. So me being able to explain things to him, like he was like, oh shit, this guy's fucking knows a lot more than I thought. You know, like even when my dad was trying to pitch the idea of like, I'm gonna live with your mom and all that. And I'm like, you know, when you speak to someone, Dad, you got to speak to them in their language. And then he's like, what do you mean? He goes, why wouldn't your mom want that? I'm like, because my mom is mom and you is you. And
right.
I brought the example. I'm like,
he said that? Why wouldn't your mom want that?
Yeah, because I think in his mind, he goes, everyone wants a family. You know, that's how he thinks.
He thinks like everyone and everyone thinks like him.
Yeah, that everyone wants a family. And I'm like, hey, Dad, let's say there's a stray dog came into town. You're trying to be friends with the stray dog. I was like, you love fucking Mercedes, right? It's a nice car. He was like, yeah. I was like, let's say you wave the keys at the dog. You think the dog gonna be your best friend? He goes, no. He starts laughing. I'm like, I'm like, what if I gave a steak to the stray dog? You think a stray dog gonna be closer to me and be friends? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, why? Because you're speaking the stray dog's language. That's you got to speak to people at what they want, not what you want. I'm like, you talking to mom and pitching her this idea is literally waving Mercedes keys at a dog. I don't think the dog's gonna bite, and I don't think the dog even cares because you're not even considering one single thing that dog wants. You know.
Yeah.
So like those are like the type of conversations that I've been having with my dad, which is pretty crazy because it almost feels like the turns tabled, you know?
The tables have turned. The
Yeah.
tides have shifted.
Yeah.
Do you feel like a man?
No, I think I'm
Okay,
more.
fine. Adult.
No, I think I'm just more sad at the situation.
Why?
I mean, I just want my parents to be happy, but you know, people are really truly the source of their own misery,
100%.
right? Like some people, they have the Mercedes and they're, my life sucks.
Yeah, like
Some
the
people-
fucking I'm blue, da ba dee da ba da.
Yeah.
It's about this fucking guy that has everything, but he's still fucking sad boy.
Yeah, and then some people don't have much and they're the happiest people in the world. So your reality is literally your own perception.
Right.
So it just makes me sad that
You can't help
they
him.
don't know that.
Yeah, you can't help him see it.
Yeah, my dad doesn't know. It's the story he's telling himself
Yeah.
that makes him unhappy, not that the actual thing is making him unhappy. You
Yeah,
know?
isn't that gnarly?
Yeah.
It's like, how do you help?
That's the tough part. I don't even know. I'm
Yeah.
trying to, but I don't even know how to help. And I can see why like that whole obligation method works because you just do what you're supposed to do. But then at the end of the day, I don't know if anyone's heart's getting fulfilled.
Does that matter?
I think it depends. It depends on who's seen the light and who hasn't. So if you're working with a group of people and no one has seen the light, I don't think it probably doesn't matter. Everyone just do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Right? But the minute you have someone that goes, like me, for example, I saw what life could be if I controlled it, what our relationship could be if I controlled it, what our family could be when I controlled it. I'm like, that's what I want now. And so the doing things by obligation without fine-tuning things and maximizing the potential of everything in my life, it's going to be sub-maximal. So I'm like, I don't want that,
Yeah.
you know? But if I didn't see that, I could easily be like, okay, dad wants to like do this every single time.
Yeah.
We'll just do it. But then we're all just kind of just going through the motions and we just all keep doing it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, damn, I'm happy that you're having these conversations, you know, and you're getting to say what you need to say, because I feel like there's something about being suppressed that's just never good. Never good for the soul, never good for the brain, never good for like health, you know? So I'm like, part of me is really happy that you're having these conversations, because now it also, I don't even know if you realize that you're doing this, but it also sets the tone and lets your parents know that, hey, I'm also very much capable. This is how I'm thinking. These are the steps that I do take into account when I am planning or living my life and thinking about the future. So when the time comes that you do need for me to take care of you, you know you're in good hands. And I think you've actually done that with your parents, where you've told me they both independently told you that, like, wow, like you have grown so much and that you're like really smart and like you make really sound decisions.
Yeah, even a boundary that I started setting with my mom is my mom can get into these texting sprees. And then because she's retired, right? So she doesn't have anything to do. So she'll text me something in the morning and I reply. And then maybe in like 2 hours later, she texts something and then I'll reply. And then an hour later, she texts something and I'll reply. And then 30 minutes. And then now she wants to just have like a full on text conversation. And it just gets more rapid like that. So like I'll literally just text like, hey, I'm at work. I can't talk to you. Because I need to let her know, like,
I don't have your time.
if it's important, I'm always accessible, but the frequency isn't as if I'm retired.
Yeah.
So I have to set that down. Whereas I think before I would have dropped everything. Like early JK, if she called me on set, I'd be like, oh shit, hey mom, what is it? And oh, there's fucking strawberries in the refrigerator. Like, you know, it's probably usually some fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I remember you guys were talking for hours every day.
But now it's like I gotta control my life, you know? And then what in my life, what do I need to do? What are my important things? And I prioritize her, unfortunately, not as number one, because I have my own family that's number one. So, and if she has an emergency, I have direct access to her. She can hit me up, and if she goes, it's an emergency, I'll drop everything.
Obviously.
But I'm not gonna drop everything for like, hey, I made this
Strawberries in the
cappuccino. You should gotta try this, you know?
Yeah. Balance. Well, damn. You're growing up. That's fucking awesome. Good for you. And I like that you do it in a way that's still very respectful. Like I never see you get riled up while you're talking to your dad, at least. I never see you like really being a complete fucking asshole, you know, where it's coming from a place of like resentment rather than like a place of growth and like setting, like you said, those healthy boundaries. So it's really rad to witness. Um, and I feel like it's for the long run, it's going to be really healthy for the whole family.
Yeah, I hope he takes in what I'm saying.
It
That's the,
seems like
that's
it,
that's the
right?
thing. Yeah.
It seems like it. He's told me that he says that he's going to listen to what you're saying and that you're making really sound decisions. And like, I mean, unless you're making that up,
No, that's what he said.
you know?
But
So
I
why
also
wouldn't he say
know,
that?
well, I just know a lot of older people are stuck in their habits.
Of
So
course.
I might give him something, and he's like, "Oh, cool, I'm shifting my thinking." But if I leave him up to his own devices, he could easily go back to.
100%. And that's going to happen over and over and over again. But I think you just have to keep doing you and remembering your whatever boundaries you set and making sure that you stick to what you set forth, you know? Like you can't back down either. You can't be like, hey, mom, I'm working. But then tomorrow I'll be like, yes, so what did you need? Okay, yeah, let
Yeah,
me jump.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like you have to uphold it as well.
I
And of
have, I
course,
have been, yeah,
and it's expected that they're going to go back on it because that's all they know.
yeah.
Everyone.
Both of my parents have been trying to like suck me into. Hey, you know your dad said this. I'm like, I'm sorry, but you need to tell him. You guys are two adults, and I told you from the beginning. This is
A B conversation. I'm going to see my way out of it.
yeah.
Fucking hated that.
This is an important thing. This is an issue between two people. So you guys handle it. You know, you guys are both adults here.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
Dang. No, but I think that's the way to do it, or else you're gonna keep getting sucked in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. My mom was like, she texted me that she's like, you know what? I actually changed my terms. Can you let your dad know? Like, you know, her little rule
yeah,
sheet.
yeah.
And then I was like, I'm like, no, you need to let dad know that you changed the terms. And then, because she was like, I guess she started to feel sorry for him. She's like, he can't really hear, so I guess someone does need to help him. So can you tell your dad that? I'm like, no, you can tell if you want to help dad, you can tell him that you can help him. And then she was like, what? You don't care about your dad? I'm like, no, I love my dad and I care about him.
clearly he's
Yeah,
living with us.
and that's exactly what I wrote. I was like, yeah, my dad's living with me for a few months now. I've been taking care of him, but any type of relationship or communication from you needs to go to him.
Yeah, because it's not cool to get dragged into the middle of things like that.
Yeah,
Because now, like, so you will hear that, but there's so much baggage behind it that they need to resolve if
Yeah.
they even. I mean, they don't need to resolve. It was already resolved when they got divorced. That was the resolve because they
Yes.
couldn't resolve it.
Yeah.
So, like, to put you back into that position is not cool.
Yeah,
and very
recently I visited
stressful.
my mom in LA
Yeah,
and just talking to her, just to check up on her as a person.
Yeah.
So obviously this side thing's gonna pop up.
of course.
And same thing with my dad. He was just venting to me, and then the side thing will pop up. Both of them dealing with each other, and they're both trying to like justify why the divorce happened and who was in the right and who was in the wrong.
Yucky.
On both of them, I think I could pretty much repeat the exact same speech.
But it's the other
I
person's
stopped
fault.
both of them. No, my speech.
Oh,
I stopped both of them, and I was like, I don't mean any disrespect, but I'm gonna stop you right there. And then to both of them, and I was like, I will never ever know the truth, and honestly, that doesn't even matter. I was like, because when something like as big as this happens, I've seen this happen so much in my own conflict resolution with people. It's always gonna be, well, I only did this because that. And the other person's like, well, I only did that because of this.
right. There's no resolution.
There's zero resolution.
Unless both parties are down to look at themselves and be like,
Yeah.
I fucked up. And the
Yeah.
other one's going, no, I really fucked up.
Yeah. And now it's going to require those two and me. And you have to have a dependable memory, which this is 30 years in the past. So who knows what kind of story? Because, you know, like
It
once
changes
you
over
tell
time.
your stories, like you start telling the same story to yourself and it starts warping. Like you play telephone with yourself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, and who knows who remembers what? And if both of your memories as 70-year-old people are even dependable, I'm like, that doesn't even matter, because if I know who was right or wrong, it's not even going to change the amount of love that I have for you guys anyways.
Right. What is it going to do?
I just want to be a good son to you guys individually. If you guys are able to squash that, that's freaking awesome. You guys repair yourselves. I will love you guys as a couple now, but it has nothing to do with me. And so I don't even want to hear it. And then I think both of them were like, oh shit, that's crazy. Yeah. because I don't even want to hear the venting of it, you know, because it's unproductive.
It is.
It's completely unproductive. So I was like, I came here to check up on you. I didn't come here to hear about to see who was right or wrong in the divorce. I just want to know how you're
Yeah, you don't
doing.
want the cheese man.
Yeah, and then how can I be a better son to you?
Yeah.
In a healthy way, not in a let's fucking gossip together. Oh yeah, dad's a scumbag. Oh yeah, mom's a scumbag. You know,
Bikini.
which is crazy that like when you're a kid, you view your parents as superheroes. You know,
And all-knowing.
and all knowing. And then as you get older, you're like, damn,
They're human.
they're just human beings that also like to gossip, are also petty, are also this, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, damn, we got a lot to learn. I'm really happy that you're having this growth, and I'm happy that this is happening, and I'm also happy that your papa's also having growth and your mom's having growth, even though they don't like it, or they might not like it, or they might like it. I think growth is always necessary to like elevate yourself to the next level, whatever that level may be. So damn, I can't wait to see what happens in the next few months. We'll do another recap. Well, until then, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in, and we will catch you next week.
Bye.